Finding the right product to sell on Amazon can make or break your business. Get it wrong and you'll be stuck with inventory that cannot move and endless returns. But get it right, you have a high demand, low competition product that prints money month after month. In this video, I'll walk you through the biggest product mistakes to avoid, the exact formulas for a winning product, and the step-by-step research process using Amazon's tool to find profitable opportunities. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to sell and what to avoid. So let's dive in. So before we get into what kind of products we can sell, let's talk about products that we should avoid as a new private label seller on Amazon. Alright, so the first criteria that I look at is this product saturated, and we have heard of this before. Amazon is saturated because you sell in a saturated market. So saturated, what do I mean by that? Page 1 is flooded with sellers having thousands of reviews and they are too competitive, right? So let me take a look at one such example. So a product like dog bed. A dog bed product, very easily I can see that this is a highly saturated market. Why? Because look at the first few competitors on page 1 alone. They have thousands of reviews already, right? And at the same time, there is a lot of buying activity, right? 5,000 units bought in the past month, 3,000, etc. And there's really a lot of high demand in this market with a lot of sellers with thousands of reviews already. So if you were to be a new seller and to start selling in this market, I can tell you this is going to be a tough fight for you, right? Because you need to really outsell the current competitors to even have a chance to get organic rank on page 1 for many of these keywords for this particular market. So this is one big red flag that I look out for in terms of competition level just at Amazon page. Not a lot of high review counts and not really a lot of buying activity. And the next thing to look out for are seasonal or trendy items, right? These are items that we classify as holidays, holiday items, or like trendy items. Like, remember the trend of fidget spinners? There was this trend where it happened and a lot of demand came in. But after a while, when people started selling these products, the trend died off and they are left with thousands of inventory in Amazon, right? So don't get trapped by this trendy item. Next thing also is viral TikTok gadgets, right? These products usually die out really fast, so you don't want to be caught, off the wave. The next one, right, is a highly returned products, right? Products like glassware, electronics, or even moving parts. They tend to have high return ratios. When high return comes back or bad reviews, it makes selling on Amazon a little tougher, right? Especially if this is your first time selling on Amazon. So give yourself the best chance possible to win on Amazon and don't sell products that has high return rates. And I will show you something really cool. So using this tool from Amazon called the Product Option Explorer, you can find it under your growth menu. You can actually pick into the return ratio of any market on Amazon. So for example, let's look at the charger station example here. Alright, and let's take a look at perhaps the first one, the charger station. So for this charger product, you can see that Amazon states that there is a 2% return ratio for this particular market. Every market has a different return rate that you can use as a reference. How about a drill holder? A drill holder also has about 2% return rate, right? So what I'm looking for as a criteria is anything less than 5% return rate. I believe it is okay for new sellers, and I'm going to sell a product that has less than 5% return rate, right? So let's cover this entire POE, Product Option Explorer, to see, right? Like a tablet organizer like this is a 3% return ratio, now getting higher a little bit, but still within our 5% tolerance. Now in the serving plates category, okay, so over here we can see, how about this small wood tray? So under the small wood tray category, the return rate is slightly higher now, probably because it's just maybe a lot of suppliers cannot provide a perfect product and maybe the wood came delivered crack, right? So because of that, the average for this market has a 5% return ratio, and it's not something that I would sell, right? Because if I sell in this market, I would most likely also get 5% on average return ratio. Okay, so how about this, a glass serving platter, right? So glass items a little more fragile, so I can expect to have a higher return ratio, right? So that's why it's 4% right here. But the worst offender of them all, right? This is my category that is definitely something that I would never want to sell in, just looking at the return ratio criteria, like prom dresses. Okay, so let's take a look at this market. So prom dress, a staggering 21% return ratio. That is insane. Imagine selling 5 products and one of them gets returned. Alright, so that is insane amount of returns. Alright, so prom dresses is notorious for such kind of results, right? How about even a wedding dress? Take a look at that, 27% return ratio, right? So these are markets that I would not recommend new sellers to enter into. So next up, we avoid products that are heavy and oversized, right? Just for the obvious reason of higher shipping, storage fees, and this is also a very important criteria. It requires very high capital requirement, right? Most heavy and oversized products will probably require you upwards of $50,000 in investment, right? So it can be quite costly, especially if this is your first product. So I would stay clear away from heavy and oversized products just because of capital intensiveness. And up next, we avoid product that has trademark or patents on them, right? We want to avoid lawsuits basically. That's what we want to do to start selling a product on Amazon. So make sure you check Google patents before launching, especially for design or utility patents. For trademark, please do not sell Disney characters or any trademark related items, right? I have seen sellers selling like a Disney related kind of product with Disney design, like Marvel, right? Maybe an Iron Man mark, right? If you sell that, you're doing literally trademark infringement and you will be shut down eventually if you don't have the license from Disney directly. Okay, so just be very careful on this part here. And next up, restricted and gated categories, right? These are things that you may want to avoid as a new seller because it requires additional certification. Categories such as automotive, health, beauty, or even some electronics, right? Some of this subcategory requires approval from Amazon. And when Amazon asks for approval, you may need to submit certification, lab tests, and reports to prove that you are a legitimate supplier or seller of these products. Another bonus here is adult categories also tend to be really difficult for new sellers just because you cannot run PPC or pay-per-click advertising on Amazon. So you really have to run outside of Amazon traffic to your Amazon listing. And in the beginning, that is tough, especially if you have no following at all. And a pro tip, right, just for all of you here as a bonus, remember Amazon has a compliance reference tool. To access it, just use this link here. Basically, just have at the end of the URL, just make sure that is CKP, right? sellercentral.amazon.com/CKP. So once you have this, you'll be led to this hidden link. This is not like published anywhere else on Amazon, right? First step, you can straight away go and choose the country that you're selling in, like in this case, the United States. So let's say I want to sell a pillow, right? Or maybe it's an infant pillow, right? Let me search. Amazon will tell me that I cannot sell infant cushions just because it is this requirement here, right? And because of that, I am not permitted to sell infant pillows on Amazon. So imagine if I don't understand this and I already bought 1,000 units of infant pillows and sent it all the way to Amazon, only to realize that I cannot sell infant pillows. You'll be stuck with the inventory, right? So explore this tool. This is very helpful. So for example, I like to always look at maybe baby products even and go into baby beddings. And let's say I want to sell a full-size crib. Alright, so on Amazon, you can sell a full-size crib. It's just that there are requirements that you need to clear. So go to this full-size crib here. I click on view help content. And Amazon will tell me, because of these few regulations in the USA, I need to supply Amazon all of these items here. If I can provide this, then I can sell baby crib, right? So as you can see, if you're a new seller, this can be really daunting to supply to Amazon because there are additional test reports, there are tracking requirements, there are labels that you need to adhere to just to deal with compliance on Amazon. Alright, so use this tool really wisely. At the same time, this tool is also amazing because you can look at it right here under dangerous goods compliance. Alright, this product may not be sold if it is considered under dangerous good, or there may be additional compliance requirement. Alright, but in this case, it's generally not considered a dangerous goods, which is great. So always take a look at this. Maybe one more item is the battery related products, right? So battery usually has some kind of requirements. Like example, you want to sell a battery charger, a power bank, for example, right? This is the requirements for you to sell battery chargers. So these are considered electronics and you need to meet this minimum efficiency standard and you need to show Amazon CEC registration. On top of that, you also have to read all these different helplines, alright? And under dangerous goods, just because it's a battery related charger, right? So this battery charger includes lithium ion. If you search, right? This is a dangerous goods, which means you must classify it under hazardous good class 9, right? For example, and because of that, there are some additional requirements for you to meet before you send to Amazon. Like example, you need to provide this battery exemption sheet. Alright, so explore this compliance reference tool, very helpful before you get stuck on any product that requires certification. So now that we have covered what not to sell on Amazon, let's go through what we should sell on Amazon, or the criteria to look out for. The first criteria, we want to make sure that we have at least 30 to 40% profit margin. You'll be surprised to know that so many sellers still do not know these criteria. They launch products with less than 30% profit margin, and after that, they struggle with profitability. Alright, so use the Amazon calculator to quickly check your profit before sourcing and especially before manufacturing order. The second criteria we look at is make sure your product's in the profitable price range, and I mean this by between $25 to about $60. This is the sweet spot for impulse buy to happen on Amazon, and at the same time, they can provide really healthy margins as well. The third criteria, look for products that has huge room for improvement, and I love this very important point here because so many sellers don't do this at all. You'll be shocked. Alright, look for products with 3 to 4 stars average star reviews. They are probably a bad listing as well, maybe only 4 or 5 images without the A+ content, right? So this signifies opportunity for you to really differentiate in maybe put in a bundle or two, and then you can really dominate the market. Alright, these are low-hanging fruits on Amazon. The next point, look out for products that doesn't have a single brand dominating or Amazon selling that product, right? We call that Amazon dominance, right? So you don't want to compete with those heavyweight champions like Nike, Adidas, or Disney. You cannot win them, right? Because they have really millions of products to really advertise their products. So look out for products that have no brand or Amazon dominance. This is so important because you don't want to compete with super strong brands like Nike, Adidas, or Disney, alright? Because they really have deep pockets to fight with you. So as a new seller, totally avoid that. Save the hassle, alright? So you can sleep better at night. Don't compete with Amazon directly as well, because we have seen evidence to really see that Amazon do push up their own products in the search results, alright? So you want to play in an environment where it's a more equal playing field. Next up, look at the keyword density, right? And this is such an important criteria to look at because so many sellers to date still do not look at keywords before they choose a product, right? A keyword-based research is so important, right? So make sure that there's enough keywords to describe your product adequately so that you can target more long-tail keywords when you actually launch that product. Like example, right? The egg pan example, tamagoyaki pan, right? That's one way to search for that product. How about the next way, which is Japanese egg pan, or a Korean square pan, or a aluminium square pan, right? So there's so many ways for customers to search that one same product. So if there's enough cluster of keywords, and I always like to make sure there's at least 100 keywords of this kind of relevant keywords that points to that product, then it could be a sign that there's a good product to sell on Amazon. Next up, choose products that sell all year round, right? This is an amazing tip here, especially if you want to make consistent revenue year in and year out. Alright, so evergreen products, they sell all year round, they are not seasonal. So avoiding Christmas only or Halloween only types of products, especially if you're a beginner, right? If you're a seasonal seller, hey, maybe you can try as a diversification strategy, but not when you first start on Amazon. Next up, right, a wide pricing range. So look out for products with really wide range of prices on Amazon so that you can decide what to charge based on your value and not based on a market. Let me show you an example here. So take a look at this particular product, a stainless steel straw, right? And can you just look at the price range on this page right here on page 1. It's from $4 all the way up to at most $9, right? Not a lot of price variation for you to explore, right? As I scroll down, even like most of the products at most $10, all the way from $4 to $10, right? So for you to be able to make a huge profit and to command premium prices, right? This market is definitely very restrictive for you to be able to sell your stainless steel straw for $20 just because there's really no one going to buy that kind of straw, right? So you need the price range to be able to choose the pricing that you're able to sell at comfortably and to command enough margin. Alright, so this is just one very good example of a market that I do not recommend getting into just because of a very narrow price range. So next up, look for products that have giftable potential, right? Basically products that people buy as gifts, and we love to sell these kind of products because these products usually they spike during holiday sales. Now I'm not talking about trendy or seasonal product, I'm talking about evergreen product that you know will sell all year round, but at a certain season it will spike in sales, like Christmas or Prime Day or Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, right? What other holiday season you have there. So if you sell giftable products that are suitable for gift givings to their loved ones, I love that kind of products because, hey, there's extra sales to be made and I would love to capture that sales. And finally, products that you can afford. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I have seen so many sellers launch a certain product where they cannot afford the second order and only to run out of stock eventually, right? So do not choose a product that you have no ability to finance, especially for the second order, together with advertising, right? When you run out of stock, you are literally stuck in what I call the Amazon seller rat race. You have to keep raising funds to buy the next inventory. When you are restocked, you have really lost your initial rank because you have zero sales history, right, for the past few weeks or months. Alright, so make sure you only launch products that you know you have the budget for. Yeah, so excellent pro tip is always use tools like Helium 10 to find products with their filters, right? And I'm going to show a very quick demo of using Helium 10 later. So if a product has a bad photo, weak description, or even missing the A+ content, that's actually a gold mine and it signifies opportunity for you. So let's head over to Helium 10 right now to just demonstrate. So now that we are on Helium 10, I'm actually using this tool called Black Box, alright? And Black Box can be found under product research. And if you click on it, you will be able to see a few different categories, right? So product, keywords, competitor, etc. Right? So in this purpose, I'm just going to stick on products to help us to filter down the right products to sell on Amazon. Okay, so the first criteria that I always look at right here is choosing the right category to sell in, because not all categories are open for you. So like example, automotive category is a restricted category. It is gated. You need to send approval, or you need to get approval from Amazon before you can sell in automotive, right? So these are products that I avoid as a new seller. Even some of the baby products as well is gated. It can be quite troublesome to get certification. So let's just look at some products that I know, or some categories that I know is really new seller friendly. One of them is home and kitchen. The other one is kitchen and dining. And let's do one more, right? Like patio, lawn and garden. So caveat, I'm not telling you to copy exactly what I put in here as a criteria, because you have to maybe choose your own category that you are comfortable with selling. All right, this is just a general guide to show you how powerful this tool is to find products on Amazon. All right, so let's choose these three categories. So next up, I would like to also look at the review counts here, right? And I always make sure that it is a pretty relatively new listing on Amazon, and yet they are making sales. So I may want to max review count of 250 reviews. All right, so this signifies that this product is probably less than a year or so, and yet we can make sales later on. All right, next one, the review ratings. This is also another part that I like. Sometimes I like to put 3 or even sometimes 3.5 stars, so that these products are not the best. They are getting bad customer reviews, and that signifies opportunity for us to differentiate. So shipping size, we always go within the large standard size or the small standard size, just to keep costs affordable for us to start with. Fulfillment, always choose FBA and sometimes FBM. I avoid having Amazon in there just because I don't want to fight with Amazon directly. All right, so this is the 2. Number of images is also another opportunity score that you can, take note of. Maybe a maximum of 5 images in the listing. This tells me that this seller doesn't know how to sell on Amazon, and since he's making sales and yet he doesn't know how to sell on Amazon, what happens if you know how to sell much better than him, right? So 5 images probably will be good. Now let's go over to this competitor score, right? The number of sellers. Probably I would want to max it out at probably 2 or 3 at most, right? Just so that this limits us with only private label sellers and not wholesalers or not the other business models on Amazon like arbitrage. Okay, so this helps me to find out only private label sellers. Okay, now let's look at the pricing, right? The pricing range, I would like to always put $25 to $60 as a starter, right? Just because this is a Goldilocks zone where impulse buy happens and it gives you enough profit margin. That's the name of the game. So the next up I want to go for is the ASIN revenue and ASIN sales unit, right? So ASIN level is literally at the child level. So I actually avoid the parent level revenue just because I don't want to really deal with variations as my first product. So how about ASIN revenue, right? So let's begin with monthly revenue of at least $5,000, right? Maybe $5,000 is still worth it for most of us on a monthly basis, right? In terms of revenue, and a maximum of maybe 25,000 USD, right? And I don't want to go too high in this range just because the higher you go, literally it also means the higher budget it becomes to start selling that product. Let's say at $25,000 a month, right? You probably need to buy a certain inventory to reach that level every single month, and you need to buy 3 months worth of inventory at least. So that can actually adds up in your requirement. And the ASIN sales, this will be another good gauge where it can help me to limit between 300 units sold a month to 800 units sold a month. This also is another criteria to limit your capital requirement. And based on all this, we are ready to click search and let the beauty of Helium 10 black box do the work. So apparently right here, our filter is too stringent. There is no such filter. So let's reapply the filter again. Okay, so after we have done the filter, and take a look at that, a total of 10 products appear from our very stringent criteria, right? And probably these are products that you may want to start researching on. For example, what is this? A red manual flour or corn tortilla press. There we go, a tortilla press probably. So I just click on open, and sure enough, 3.3 stars, right? Pretty bad reviews, right? And it also ran out of stock recently, but in the past 30 days, they have made about $9,000. So it can show an opportunity. How about this? A product that has black canopy bed curtains, right? New product, but bad reviews. It's something that you can fix. Look at this, 27,000 sales in the past 30 days. So that is quite insane, right? And let's see if we have more. Maybe just do one more like this. A 7-tier wall shelf unit. Look at that. 2.7 stars, 3 reviews only, and yet for the past 30 days, 100 plus have bought this product. Probably this could signify opportunity. And look at this, guys. He has only one main image, and it's not even the recommended size, right? One main image. Let me check if they has A+ content. No, there's no A+ content, right? So probably this is a criteria that you can stick to, or maybe some of you can take this product to the next level, right? So that's the beauty of black box. It helps you to narrow down your criteria really quickly so that you find your winning products fast. Alright, and that is the demonstration with black box, right? So if you want to try out Helium 10 for yourself, right, we have left a really good promo code down below in the description, right? Feel free to click on that link. It will give you 20% off for the first 6 months, right? And good news, if you are based in Asia, we have a really steep discount, as much as 77% off the monthly plan. But that is an annual plan that you have to get on, alright? The details are in the description, right? Feel free to check it out. So now you know exactly how to find profitable products and avoid costly mistakes. But now the real key is taking action. So leave a comment down below. What's one product idea you're considering? I'll personally reply to the first 10 comments. So if you got value from this, like and subscribe for more Amazon FBA strategies. I drop new videos every week to help you scale faster. If not, guys, keep crushing it.